On January 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 14,172, titled Restoring Names That Honor American Greatness, which directed the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This executive order mandated that the U.S. Board on Geographic Names update the Geographic Names Information System to reflect the new designation. Following this directive, major mapping services, including Google Maps and Apple Maps, updated their platforms to display the Gulf of America in the United States. However, this unilateral action has sparked significant controversy. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has contested the change, asserting that the U.S. has no legal right to rename the internationally shared body of water. Additionally, the White House Correspondents Association criticized the exclusion of an Associated Press reporter from a White House event due to the agency's refusal to adopt the new name, highlighting concerns over press freedom. While the executive order has led to changes in U.S. federal documents and mapping services, the international community has not universally adopted the Gulf of America designation. The traditional Gulf of Mexico name remains prevalent in global discourse. Question: what procedures should Trump have followed in renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? ChatGPT said, if Donald Trump, or any leader, had wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in a manner that was legally and diplomatically proper, he would have had to follow a number of internationally established procedures. Here's what those steps typically would involve. 1. Diplomatic consultation and agreement, negotiations with bordering nations. The Gulf of Mexico is shared by 3 countries: the United States, Mexico, and Cuba. Before any name change could be formalized, Trump would have needed to engage in diplomatic talks with these nations. Any unilateral decision by the U.S. could lead to tensions or disputes, especially if the countries did not agree with the name change. International consent. Since the Gulf of Mexico is an international body of water, the name change would need the consent of the international community, particularly the countries that are geographically involved. Unilateral action, like what was described, would likely face backlash and opposition from the other 2 countries. 2. United Nations and international bodies. UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. UNCLOS governs the use and naming of bodies of water, especially in terms of territorial boundaries and rights. A body of water like the Gulf of Mexico falls under international jurisdiction for navigation, environmental protection, and economic use. The United Nations would likely need to be consulted to ensure the new name follows established international law. International Hydrographic Organization, IHO. The IHO provides standardized names for bodies of water. For any international body of water, the IHO plays an important role in deciding the official name, and their approval would be essential to ensure the name Gulf of America was adopted internationally. 3. Geographical and scientific consultation. Consultation with geographers. The naming of a large body of water typically involves input from scientists, cartographers, and geographical experts to ensure accuracy. The Gulf of Mexico has been known by that name for centuries, and there may have been a historical or cultural significance to the name that would need to be taken into account. Environmental considerations. The environmental impact of such a change might need to be reviewed, especially if the renaming had implications for marine conservation, climate change, or ecosystem management in the region. 4. Public and indigenous consultation. Cultural sensitivity. Given that the Gulf of Mexico has cultural and historical significance to indigenous populations and local communities in the region, it would be important to consult these groups. A renaming could have social and cultural implications that need to be addressed. Public input. As with any significant change, public consultations or discussions would be crucial. This would likely involve not only the citizens of the U.S., but also those from Mexico, Cuba, and even broader Latin American and international communities who might have an interest in the change. 5. Approval by international organizations. UNESCO. If the Gulf of Mexico has any UNESCO World Heritage Sites within its area, such as unique marine ecosystems, any name change would need to be considered in this context. International heritage and conservation organizations would likely need to be involved. Global geographic bodies. The name would need to be submitted to international geographical bodies, which would include approval from the UN Group of Experts on Geographical Names, UNGEGN, and the International Council of Onomastic Sciences, ICOS. 6. Implementation and recognition. Mapping and cartography. After international and diplomatic approvals, cartographers and mapping organizations, such as Google Maps, the IHO, and national agencies like the U.S. Geological Survey, would need to update their maps. This would ensure consistency across global platforms. Legal documentation. Any official name change would need to be enshrined in legal documents, including treaties, official maps, and maritime charts, to make it legally recognized. 7. Global adoption. International recognition. Even after the name change was implemented domestically and regionally, the global community would need to accept the new name. This could take time, as countries and international organizations would have to update their official records and publications to reflect the new name. Why Trump's announcement would be problematic. Unilateral action. The Gulf of Mexico is a shared international water body, so renaming it without the input or agreement of the other nations that border it would be seen as an overstep. Diplomatic fallout. Unilateral actions like this often lead to diplomatic friction. Mexico and Cuba would likely object to such a move, which could strain relations with these countries. No legal authority. Even as President of the United States, Trump did not have the legal authority to unilaterally rename a major international body of water. Such decisions require international negotiation and approval from global bodies, not just a domestic proclamation. In short, while a U.S. president can propose changes in domestic geographical naming, e.g., renaming national parks or federal buildings, renaming an internationally shared body of water like the Gulf of Mexico would require significant diplomatic, legal, and procedural steps that go beyond national jurisdiction. If you like this content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below this video, and we will be back with more content soon. Thanks for watching.